Welcome to the online classes from Dhaka Secondary School, North Karachi campus. Assalamu alaikum students of class 8 in the online class of social studies. We are studying chapter number 15, migration, and I'm your teacher, Miss Usma. Topic of the day is recent important migration, and in this we will study about the Chechnya to Central Asia in 1940s. Number 2, India Pakistan to India in 1947 to 1950. Number 3, China to Taiwan, the USA, Australia, Europe during 1948 to 1950. Number 4, Caribbean to the UK in 1950s. Number 5, Turkey to Germany in 1950s. Number 6, West Africa to the UK between 1950 to 60s. Number 7, North Africa to France, Spain, Italy between 1950 to 1960s. Number 8, Central Africa to all direction in Africa. Number 9, Vietnam to the USA, Hong Kong, Australia, Southeast Asia and other places. Number 10, Afghanistan to Pakistan during 1980s to 90s. Recent important migration. In further slides, we will study about the recent migrations across the world between 1940s to 1990s. Chechnya War, this is a Chechnya War pic, which is passed off as Ukraine atrocity by hackers. Number 1, Chechnya to Central Asia 1940s. In 1944, the Soviet leader Joseph Stalin accused the Chechen people, who are Muslims, of helping Germans in World War II. He abolished the country and forced the people on a compulsory migration to Central Asia, or people were forced to give up their surname and thus their identity. They were not allowed to practice their religion. Number 2, India Pakistan to India 1947 to 1950. More than 15 million people were affected because of the partition. The Muslims migrated to Pakistan and the Hindus to India. This is regarded as one of the largest migrations in the world. With emotion running high, there were massacres on both sides. Although this was not meant to be, Mr. Jinnah had repeatedly emphasized the rights of minorities in Pakistan, and Mr. Gandhi strongly protested against the rioting and killing. China to Taiwan, the USA, Australia, Europe in 1948 to 50s, when the communists under Mao Zedong defeated the nationalists and set up a communist state. Many millions, especially the nationalist army, fled to Taiwan, which they declared a separate country, claiming it is the real China. Industry flourished and the state became prosperous. Other Chinese fled all over the world, and usually because they are a very hardworking people, they have prospered in business. Caribbean to the UK. After World War II, there was a desperate shortage of labor in the UK. Many men had been killed, many towns and cities were in ruins from bombing. Industry was strengthened. Tens of thousands of native Caribbeans, especially from Jamaica, were encouraged to come to Britain to work. Generally, they did unskilled work, drove buses, worked on the railway, but some later reached high professional positions and also became members of the parliaments. Turkey to Germany. Germany was in the more desperate plight after World War II than even the UK. With cities flattened and industry largely destroyed, the other countries of Europe could not help, and Germany had no colonies from which to draw labor. So Turkish guest laborers were invited For many years, Germany had a close relationship with Turkey. West Africa to the UK. When the British West African colonies became independent, many of the people migrated to Britain searching for work. Frequent civil wars in the region made it very unstable, with dictator after dictator seizing power, and this made the people even more anxious to come to Britain in search of a settled life. North Africa to France, Spain, Italy in 1950s to 60s. The North African countries were colonies of France, Morocco, Algeria, and Tunisia, and Italy in Libya. But after World War II, the colonial powers had weakened and their colonies rose up in protest. There was a lot of political instability and civil war in some places. Many people from these countries moved to Europe even after gaining independence. Central Africa to all direction in Africa. Endless wars by military leaders to gain their tribal superiority, instability, and violence forced many people to flee in whichever directions they could. There are horrifying stories of violence and bloodshed, as in Uganda under the dictator Idi Amin. Vietnam to the USA, Hong Kong, Australia, Southeast Asia, and other places. Millions of people fled from Vietnam when it was taken over by the communists in their war with the USA in 1975. Some did not want to live in a communist society, others had helped the Americans. They fled mainly as boat people in any sort of vessels they could get. Hundreds of thousands drowned in their tiny ships or were killed by pirates, but many struggled through. Many of them have become quite prosperous in the developed countries. Afghanistan to Pakistan. 2 decades of warfare against invaders, civil wars, warlords, and terrible droughts, followed by the events of 9/11 in the USA, resulted in the flight of millions to neighboring countries as well as further west over the years. The questions are in front of you. Do them very carefully. Study them well and complete your work. Thank you so much.